Everyone who has been dealing with anxiety for some time now will most definitely have experienced some very uncomfortable muscle tension throughout their body. This tension can create tons of symptoms that ultimately can trigger panic attacks and even develop into health anxiety and hypochondria. You have to remember that we with anxiety are in an extremely revved up and hyper-alerted state nearly all day, every day. Being mentally this stressed out and on the edge will not only impact us mentally, but will have a tremendous influence on your physical state as well. In a stressful situation, our muscles will always subconsciously tighten up. It's our natural response and prepares us to deal with a threat by either running from it or fighting it. And here lies the main issue for all of us with anxiety. There isn't a real threat. Our body and mind fire out their emergency reaction in response to our dark, negative and worrisome thoughts. And these thoughts seem so uncontrollable to us. They stick around, drag us down, and eventually completely blow up, and we end up in a panic attack. Each and every one of these attacks seem to make everything so much worse. They fuel our worries about our condition. We worry about our health, or if we ever really will recover from this one day. It's like throwing gasoline onto fire. Suddenly we are in and out of panic attacks multiple times a day. And if you're not having a panic attack, it can feel like being on the verge of one, and that our life is just one big build up to the next attack. At least, that is the way my life felt for me for many years, and I'm sure many of you can relate. And this is a state that's just made for disaster. Our muscles are so tensed up, and we never get enough time to recover and relax. We are our own stressor, and there isn't a way we can run away or ignore ourselves. We can't rest. Our sleep is short and horrible. This all makes the tension in our body get worse and worse, which in return fires up more symptoms, more negativity in our mind, and down goes the spiral. Guys, this tension is the cause for most of the symptoms we experience. Despite being uncomfortable and achy all over, I've had these shooting pains all over my body. They felt like tiny knife cuts and came sporadically. Daily headaches, burning in certain parts, tingling, numbness, crushing pains in my chest, a pulling sensation in my face, twitches, spasms, the whole spectrum of anxiety symptoms. And they all can be traced back to tension. And don't forget that cognitively, you are in an hyper-alerted state as well, and will more than likely associate these symptoms with something dangerous and life-threatening. And what most people tend to ignore is that our physical state has a great impact on our mind as well. Being uncomfortable and in pain casts a dark shadow over your mind. Our thoughts turn negative. We feel depressed, exhausted, scared, and most and for all, we lose any kind of motivation and drive. For me, it peaked in not being able to get myself out of bed. I couldn't sleep or nap, but also couldn't get myself to get up. I was trapped. Basically just a young man curled up in his room all day, hoping for this all to end. And if you are at this or at a similar stage in your life, it's just so important that you become proactive. And by proactive, I don't mean solely focusing on reading forums or watching videos about anxiety. You have to counteract this feeling of hopelessness, pain and fatigue by doing the things you have learned here on this channel and from anybody else. Just knowing what you have to do will not change anything if you do not get up and implement these. That day you believe you will feel okay-ish and motivated again won't just magically come. You have to build up to that point. Now that you know that muscle tension is one of the key reasons that you're still in this stage, go about it and work on it. This might sound silly and weird to some of you, but I have found a lot that I was looking for by going to the gym, and of course changing my life to what I have envisioned it to be. Of course, it wasn't just the working out that has helped me, but it was the whole lifestyle around it. Eating right, counting the macros, forming a routine, planning the workouts ahead, seeing changes both physically and mentally, a fixed sleeping schedule, and simply getting out of the house. It has almost every component you need for real long-term recovery. And I'm not saying that this is going to be the only way, but it's definitely a great way, and I hope that I can get some of you motivated enough to go out and work out. Again, you have to just take the first few steps while possibly feeling disheartened or even miserable, but by doing so, you will find true motivation and joy along the way. Like I said, exercise is not going to be the sole thing that will get you to recover, but a lifestyle that implements plenty of stress coping mechanisms, and working towards a fulfilling life is going to be the path that you will need to follow. Check out this playlist, in which I explain recovery in more detail. Thanks for watching everyone, and if you're new here and want to see more anxiety related content just like this one, consider subscribing.